Hi, I'm John McNeil. Welcome to Helping Other People Evolve. Have a question for you. What are you feeding your spirit? I think it's important to know what you're taking in. Because what am I feeding my spirit? I feed my spirit information that comes from the relationship of the God of my understanding. And when doing that, it means that there's instructions and steps I must take. I also feed myself information from a 12-step program, and it's based on instructions with spiritual principles to also counteract what people have been known to be called defective characters. But these are the things I feed my spirit. If you are feeding yourself information that is going to cause you to not be able to perform to be a better person, then you're feeding your spirit junk food. Yeah, sometimes people tend to think that they're feeding themselves good stuff, but at the same time, it's junk. I am not trying to force anyone to believe as I believe, but I want you to take a look at what are you feeding your spirit. I have had many, many encounters, especially of lately. Great intentions, real intentions, and still I've seen intentions that I practice in my performance, and it still creates harm because not everyone that I deal with or is in agreement with the things that I may say or do. And I'm not talking about when I deliberately do wrong. I'm talking about when I'm intentionally trying to do right. Harm is harm, but this is, again, information that I've learned from the 12 steps and the relationship and instructions that I'm reading to build a better character with John, to actually know that I want to transform, but people still judge me. There's nothing I can do to stop people from judging me. I wanted you to have some information to not fall captive and being hopeless. And I hope that you can take a look at maybe if you're feeding yourself nonsense, you could stop. There's a lot of information available to the world, and I get it. But if you're sitting around every day, all you do is take in the information from the news, it's going to land in your conscience, and your conscience is going to carry two pieces. It's going to hold a subliminal message, and then eventually, mentally, you're going to think about it, and then if thinking about it turns into an action, and then you're displaying the behavior because you buy into whatever it is that you want to believe from what you're watching or listening to. It's like hearing a good song on the radio, and you really like that tune. Once that tune stopped playing, it seems like it laid in your conscience because you can sing the song without even hearing it because it's constantly something that you like. That's why I asked, what are you feeding your spirit? We're going through this world, and this world is what it is. It's made up of how human beings created to be. I hope that you can figure out how are you going to find your joy, your happiness, your love in the process of living life, to the best of your ability with what are you feeding your spirit. Everyone that I know has a belief system, but at the same time, you got to make sure your belief system isn't tearing you down. It should be building you up. A fundamental transformation is something that comes from within. And it doesn't come in just a one-time process. It comes in an overtime process. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about, tune in and maybe you'll be able to get something from it. But I just ask that I want you to take a note with what are you doing to better yourself. I'm a diabetic. If I choose to eat a bunch of junk food, that's going to help the diabetes devour me. But if I change my diet and eat right, then it's going to decrease the chances that the diabetes can actually have damaging effects on me. So the same thing is if I flip it over, which I am, and I'm talking about feeding my spirit. There are times that I'm doing the best. I have a good heart, and no sooner than I do wrong, I get ridiculed, I get judged, I get talked about, and feeling the effects of that as human beings. I can't always use anger as my means of dealing with these impacts or effects from people, but at the same time, I want to stay in the business of loving myself. But when I'm trying to nurture me and it seems like I'm being devoured, it's hard. But what I'm feeding my spirit, even when I get information from the stuff that I'm getting, and it says stuff like, no amount of spiritual awareness will prevent me from being a human being, that means I have to endure. That means I have to use perseverance. That means I have to be steadfast. That means I have to surrender. And it's not always easy to do that because of feelings and emotions. But I'm glad that I'm in touch with feeding my spirit good things to continue helping me grow, because I don't want to get swallowed up, as many have been, and being lost, running around here in routines and rituals that are decaying and devastating because it's not allowing you to actually grow and be successful. I know everybody needs money, or money is a very important necessity in life, but many people get money and still lose themselves because they haven't actually worked on building themselves. What are you feeding your spirit? Feeding your spirit is very important, and it has to be good information. I hope that you find something that can benefit and allows you to grow. I hope that you can actually find stuff that will allow strengthen you, not only to take care of you, but can you be caring to other people? When we're walking around in life the way that we are, it is very challenging. So many people will say things and not experience it, but then they'll put a judgment on it. But then when they experience it, the lesson that they actually start seeing is what the other person was actually going through when they were placing a judgment on them. It's almost like wait till the shoe's on the other foot. A lot of times that's not always the case, because you come and go out of people's lives. I just want people to take a look at, what are you feeding your spirit? Feeding your spirit is truly, truly important. You don't have to go religious. I'm talking about feeding your conscience. I'm talking about allowing your personality and your character to have healthy information. I get the realities of life. Murder is murder. Crime is crime. Racism is racism. Prejudice is prejudice. I just don't want you to fall trapped or captured in the box, because sometimes what the box can do, the box can make you feel like no matter what you do, it's still not going to work. No matter how right you are, you still don't get the results of being right. But self-righteousness is not a defect of character when you are just incorporating it for yourself. It is only a defect of character when you impose it on other people. But when in the box, you have to be careful to find a way to endure and walk through. And again, steadfastness is a very powerful principle. But if you're not honest with yourself, then you're going to devour yourself, because your thinking is going to look for solutions that aren't going to be long lasting or beneficial. I just wanted you to touch on paying attention, or take a look at, what are you feeding your spirit? If you spend hours with doing rituals and routines that do not serve anything but instant gratifications, maybe that suffices for you, but then maybe you're tired of those routines and then you get bored. If you can't find a way to discipline yourself to make a decision that isn't going to devour you, then you're going to continue to stay in a suffering state. There are always brief moments of reprieve from being able to feel pain, even if it's growing pain. But ongoing suffering means that a person won't be awake. Even in the recovery world, we call it a state of denial. Many people walking around looking like they're alive, but they're dead on the inside, because there's nothing coming in that is going to benefit their ability to wake up and see what is actually happening right before your eyes. Feeding yourself spiritually should not just consist of religion. It should consist of spirit and conscience to make you a well-balanced person. Many people will continue to judge me, and guess what? I don't have to like it. And guess what? I can feel sad, and guess what? I can fight when doubt kicks in. Why is that? Because again, I'm still feeding myself with good stuff, because there's this thing, and I want you to take a look it up, and it's called quintessential spirit. And it will allow you to see, or maybe get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. But I need for people to wake up. You can't afford to fall apart. Yes, you can afford to feel pain and disgust and dislike, but at the same time, be able to fall in love with yourself, be able to push through. And I find that there is always a reason and a season people are in my life. even when I get attached to those that I don't want them out of my life. But at the same time, I have no control. All I have is the responsibility and the ability to do my best and appreciate what they're bringing in my life. And hopefully I'm bringing good things in their life. All I wanted to do was send a message about paying attention to what you are feeding your spirit. I hope I help someone. I hope this really makes you take a look. Feeding your spirit good things is important. You are a good person, but you have to practice it. Most of the time, good people practice wrong things and they get the label of the wrong things, which devour and hides that they're good people. Please don't keep putting yourself in this state. Feed yourself good things. This way your spirit continue to grow, and you'll never be perfect, but at least you can practice to improve from the mistakes that you make deliberately or unintentional. I hope I said something to help someone. And tune into the next video. Again, what are you feeding your spirit? Thank you.